Hello and welcome. I'm Austin Koblarczyk, arranger and composer. I'd like to welcome you to my office for the day. This is Dudley Burger Hall at St. Omer College, and I have several hours in here to basically do whatever I want. So I got a few goals with this, and I'm sure you'll see them pop up in a few videos as time goes on. But today, this video, the one I'm recording the introduction for, I'd like to talk about a project I've been working on for a few months now. Yeah, that sounds right. So the concept is I'm doing this series of pieces called interpretations. Now, the interpretations pieces are not written out in traditional Western notation. It's also not a very graphic notation. Essentially, it's a text-based notation. I've essentially written a short story, or at this time, medium form poems. The last two were very poetic and rhymey. But they're kind of designed to be almost guided improvisations, almost. That's what I think the goal I'm having here is. So part of my time here today, the last hour and a half I have in the building, I'm going to pop down there. I am currently up in the organ loft. This used to be a church that was refitted into a recital hall. I'm going to pop down there to the main stage where the piano is, and I'm sure that there's video B-roll playing of this already, but I'm going to pop down there to the main stage and record at least 2 takes of each of the 3 interpretations I currently have. By the time I finish editing this video, maybe I'll have written the 4th, and I'll record it, probably not in the same spot, but maybe in a practice room. I really like Burger Hall for a number of reasons. This is a beautiful space. It echoes wonderfully acoustically, and they have their own in-house recording system, so I can just hijack that for an hour or two instead of having to set up all of my own equipment, which is why I'm using a USB mic instead of my traditional recording stuff. But yeah, I'm up in the air yet if I'm going to share the text for the interpretations right now. I might publish them at some point in a small collection. But I wanted to explore this concept of a guided improvisation. You know, I'm not much of a pianist. I'm a jazz musician, so improvisation has been something I've been studying for a few years now. Not that you can tell, because it feels like there's never any good swing vocabulary in my solos. But this idea of a guided improvisation kind of came to me. To be very honest, I'm in therapy, as many people my age are. So I thought it would be useful, after talking to my therapist, he led me through this, my counselor, he led me through this guided meditation, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. And I, as I always do, was thinking about music while this happened, and I went, what if you could guide an improvisation? How would people interpret the same story differently, musically? And we can see that with a lot of composers, but I don't know how often we see it with performers. So in my effort to become a composer-performer, which is a fancy term I like to call myself quite often, I have been looking for pieces I can perform at some kind of level. Now, typically this will happen on bass clarinet. I'm a bass clarinetist. That's what I'm better at. And not piano, because I am not, by any stretch of the words, a very good pianist. However, I wanted to stretch myself thin on this one. I wanted to push my boundaries a little bit. So the interpretations, because they are a series of guided improvisations, means I can work at my speed through the story and kind of give my interpretation through the piano. Basically, it's, for me, a good exercise in motivic development and motivic improvisation. I tried to stick to 1 or 2 main concepts, if not exactly melodic themes. And they usually develop in the first few minutes, or because these are pieces I've been working on, I've got a few sketched out on copies that I have. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the interpretations. I'll put them all in the separate videos if you want to just skip to the end and hear my little conclusion. But yeah, and if you've got any interest in the topic, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, or reach out to me through my email, which I believe is on my channel page. Alright, wish me luck. And we're back. Recording session over. Took about 30 minutes to get 2 takes of all 3 impressions. And I have decided on something while I was sitting at the piano in between takes. Just kind of like thinking to myself, if I can understand this story by looking at it while I'm interpreting it, how well does that come across to others? So a bit of a challenge for you if you've made it this far, or if you're heading out to watch one of the other videos after this one real quick. This is an interpretation. If you could, in the comment section of whichever interpretation you're interested in watching, feel free to leave a description of what you think the story might be. These are all very plain stories. They're not exactly complex. They're all written on a single page. And I just want to see, how do people react to this, If you watch one of the interpretations and you enjoyed it adequately enough, feel free to leave a comment telling me what you think the interpretation might be describing. Music, as they say, is a shared language, which I don't entirely agree with, but I want to see how well I can interpret a story for you to understand in this musical language. I've been Austin Kopelarczyk, amateur piano improviser, and that's all. So, thanks. I'll see you next time.